Let's go! Today I'm going to share with you why Caleb Williams' pro day was terrible, and it's not for the reason you're thinking.
On the show, they always post a bunch of highlights of me rolling around and stuff, but I throw from the pocket quite a lot. Right. I didn't throw all 300 or 500 the year before from out of pocket, so I wanted to show that.
So, of course, that was Caleb Williams with Louis Riddick, and I want to talk about this NFL quarterback draft class as a whole as well. First things first, I actually did watch this because it is the off season and I love football so freaking much. And if you're like me, hit that subscribe button because we just hit 1,000 and we're just going to grow this thing all the way up to 100K. Why the frick not? Okay. So when I watch Caleb Williams, I feel like I am watching an NFL starting level quarterback. And before I get into how I felt everything went here on USC's campus, I want to talk about this quarterback draft class as a whole. And you probably wouldn't be surprised that I don't have I don't have Caleb Williams as my number one quarterback. It was actually supposed to be a tease. I didn't say that smoothly at all. I actually do have Jayden Daniels number one overall. And there's a lot of reasons as to why. Obviously, when you compare the two athletically, they aren't close. Caleb is on the shorter size. Your average NFL quarterback is 6'2", and while Caleb isn't Bryce Young's size, he's not the biggest guy, and he's not the most athletic guy. Yes, he does have a very, very good arm. I don't know if I would classify it as a Mahomes, Allen, Herbert level arm. I do think it's really good, but I don't consider it special, if that makes sense. So we have a somewhat undersized quarterback who's not overly gifted athletically like a Jayden Daniels, right, who is very, very, very fast. And if you have an open-minded offensive coordinator who knows how to use him and would be willing to think outside the box, I think when you compare their final season statistics, Jayden Daniels, who is also a Heisman Trophy winner like Caleb Williams, they're not really close. In fact, Jayden statistically had arguably the best Heisman Trophy season we have ever seen. And I understand that there are some of the analytics community that points out that Jayden Daniels' career pressure to sack ratio, which is a very sticky and stable stat, it does not look too great for Jayden Daniels. But what I would tell you is he drastically improved in that category his final season at LSU. One other thing that led to Jayden Daniels taking a lot of sacks behind what was a good offensive line at LSU is there were far too many instances where he thought taking off and running was the better option than just throwing to somebody that's open, because Jayden is an unbelievable runner, right? And if you just break it down just rationally, a quarterback run is one of the safest turnover adverse plays you can have. And Jayden Daniels was so allergic to doing anything remotely close to throwing a thread the needle dangerous type of throw. He just didn't want to lose games his first season as the LSU starter, and that's why he took a lot of sacks. One thing I would say to a lot of people that point out Jayden Daniels' high sack numbers is a lot of them were 2 or 3 yard sacks. They weren't devastating sacks. So in his final season, he got a lot better in that category, where Caleb Williams did the opposite. He took a lot of sacks this past season. Some of it, I understand that there are film people out there that know way more about football than I do that were appalled by the Lincoln Riley offense this year, and I get it. When you actually watch the film, you would ask yourself, dang, is Lincoln Riley really this quarterback savant? What are they trying to accomplish offensively? And yeah, Caleb didn't play within the framework of the offense, and in defense of Caleb, who would, right? With some of the things that USC did this year. So I get all of that. I'd still take Jayden Daniels over Caleb Williams any day of the week, but that's just me. Caleb Williams had 2 really, really elite seasons in his first 2 years, and this last season overall was still very, very good. Jayden Daniels had 1 spectacular season, and his other 4 years as a starter was solid, right? So I can understand Caleb over Jayden, but I'm taking Jayden over Caleb. And I also understand the arguments for Drake Maye. I really, really, really do. But, Drake just wasn't nearly as productive as these two. And, of course, college production isn't the be-all, end-all, but still. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I think this pro day was terrible? Well, it's because pro days themselves are terrible. Yes, it wasn't as if we have ever seen Caleb Williams throw the football, right? And this is the most stripped down version of the game of football that you will ever see, right? No defense, no pads, no nothing. Carefully curated by, the trainers who I do respect. I really do like following Caleb's trainers. But he's throwing to receivers he knows against air in a very controlled environment, right? And that is not what the NFL is at all. And what I would say about pro days in general, they could actually lead you into more bad decisions than good decisions, okay? We saw what happened a few years ago with Zach Wilson, who, in the minds of many, had an absolutely amazing pro day, and people like Tony Romo talked skeptics like me into Zach Wilson being an elite NFL quarterback. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm just missing something. And then from that point forward, I'm never listening to any other quarterback evaluator until I actually do deeper research. And I actually did watch a decent amount of Zach Wilson. Jeff Grimes, his OC at the time, is one of my favorite assistants in all of college football. But, I am looking at everything through a skeptical eye. I don't care if Caleb Williams looks like the second coming of Andrew Luck in these underwear drills. I just think all pro days are terrible. So it's not just Caleb. None of this. And I mean, absolutely none of this means anything to me whatsoever. Other positions, I can hear it out. Like other positions that rely almost solely or more so athleticism, I can get that. But, man, I just don't get it. I don't understand why this is still even a thing. I can understand throwing at the combine where you're throwing two different types of receivers, right? And it's not an absolute controlled environment like it is on your home practice turf. But Caleb, of course, didn't have a whole lot to gain from the combine. And to be honest, if Caleb truly felt that he could lose his number one overall status, don't you think he would have opted out of doing this? So even though this throw right here is really nice to Taj Washington, who I think is a sleeper receiver, it just doesn't mean anything. Maybe at other positions I can hear a conversation about pro days, but not this throwing portion, not at all. Even though it is cool, even though it generates clicks, I just want to hammer home how crazy I think this whole idea is of a quote-unquote pro day. But that's neither here nor there. I do want to give you a few extra thoughts on the next couple of quarterbacks in this class, but I want to shout out one player in this pro day that I think is a deep sleeper, and you've seen him a few times. It's actually Marshawn Lloyd, and that's someone that I've been drafting on my Underdog Fantasy drafts. You could sign up using my promo code Carter for a deposit match bonus. There's Marshawn right back here. The dude is an absolute freaking unit. He was a transfer from the other USC, South Carolina, to Southern California. I think he's got true fantasy RB1 or at least RB2 potential if he gets into the right offense. And you'll see an absolute terrible throw right here by Caleb Williams. I mean, come on, Caleb. Goodness gracious. Did you paint your fingernails before this one? Oh, man. I would have loved Caleb to have the painted fingernails for this. I would have loved that. But that's not here nor there, and I don't care if anybody paints their nails. I look at the rest of this draft class, and there are some that say, look, if you're the New England Patriots, why aren't you drafting down, picking up as much capital as you possibly could, and just take a Bo Nix or Michael Penix? I am a deeper, better fan of Bo Nix and Michael Penix at the next level, But I just don't think neither are as good as Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, or Caleb Williams. And then we get to the quarterback that has generated the most discussion, one that I've actually heard from somebody reputable, some quote-unquote Power Hour NFL sources. I could see Drake Maye getting jumped by J.J. McCarthy. I could also see Jayden Daniels getting jumped by J.J. McCarthy. I could see some NFL teams falling in love that J.J. McCarthy is younger, that he's a winner, that he went 25-1 his last 2 years, and he won a national championship, which is something these other quarterbacks cannot say, even though Michael Penix got close. I just don't see it, but I've seen some mock drafts where McCarthy does jump one of the top 3 QBs in this draft. So you guys let me know who you think the top QB is in this draft. But I'm telling you, keep an eye out for Marshawn Lloyd, man. He, once again, it is up against air, but he is just a very fluid and, like Caleb Williams, an elite recruit coming out of high school. This is actually our thumbnail image right here. Look at that. Bang. So I'm going to need your help in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this QB draft class. Let me know if you guys agree with me that pro days in general are terrible. I believe they are for at least the quarterback throwing portions of the of this circus, if you will. Just give me actual football. I understand. And it's March Madness. We should probably all be watching college basketball anyway. But I do want to end this video with Caleb Williams and what he wants the Browns to know about him.
Just get to know me, see what type of player I am. Because, to be the number 1 pick, you're investing a lot into a QB and players that are number 1 picks. And so they want to see who they're investing their time, energy, and effort into, money into. And that's, first and foremost what they're trying to do.